Welcome, everyone, back to another episode of Kingdom Commerce. I'm your host, Cooper Peterson, and today I will be interviewing Elijah Lowe. Elijah is the founder of AI Matrix Solutions. He's an AI expert that helps businesses use AI to grow and scale rapidly. He is also the author of Navigating Faith with AI. And so we had a fantastic discussion regarding how Christians should view AI, how small businesses should use AI to their advantage to grow in this period of disruption. And so very thrilled to be able to release this to you guys. So without further ado, this is Kingdom Commerce, where we do commerce the kingdom way. And today's episode starts now. But look, Elijah, it's a pleasure to have you on for another episode of Kingdom Commerce. In particular, I've been thinking a lot about AI, and you see all these ads for all these different tools and business opportunities, and it's something I personally am looking to learn more about, and specifically how it relates to startup businesses as well. Elijah, you have your own business, AI Matrix Solutions. You're a thought leader in the AI space, and for the audience here, I met Elijah at the Cedarville's Business Impact Conference, and Dr. Oberbrunner and Elijah they pulled me aside with another student, Will, and they were discussing. I felt like I got a crash course on AI and the opportunities that are available for entrepreneurs. So Elijah, it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
It's a pleasure to be on the podcast, Cooper.
Well, we got on the video before the recording, and you said, "Look, it's a great day," and I was like, "Indeed, it is." Why do you say it's such a great day today?
Well, Cooper, we just have a new president, President Trump, that was inaugurated yesterday. And I do believe this is looking at his public policy initiatives and how he's posturing the nation. You know, I would say that this is the golden age of America. Okay, the next 4 years, okay, is going to be the golden age of America. And if you are living in America right now, okay, and you're not positioning yourself to be part of the growth, the massive growth that's going to be taking place, you're going to be missing out on a huge opportunity of a lifetime. If you think about it, you look at putting America first in terms of the domestic economic growth. He's removing all, and he's one of the few presidents that he may not fully understand it, but he's got a really good team of people around him that truly understand AI. So in terms of
Interesting.
the ability for America to build, innovate, and to be the world leader in AI, there is no better team to have leading your country right now in an AI world.
So what do you mean by that? So the government is involved in AI. To what extent
Okay,
are
so
we?
so first of all, the government understand its role in AI development. Okay,
Okay,
and if you look at the executive order that was signed yesterday, the first thing he did was to roll back every governmental obstacle to innovating with AI in America that was put in place during the Biden administration. Okay, so basically removing all the speed bumps for AI innovation. Okay, and that was signed
interesting.
last night. Okay, on top of that, I believe that he's going to not just incentivize, do everything he can to accelerate AI development and the innovation in the AI space. Because if you look at the people that he surround himself, if you see, every president have kind of what we call a kitchen cabinet, right? You have the formal cabinet that runs the day-to-day operations, and then you have the kitchen cabinet that basically are people that you surround yourself with to give you personal input before you make very critical decisions. Okay, and if you look at his kitchen cabinet, you have people like Elon Musk. okay, who understand AI better than anyone else in our country. Okay, and his close relationship with Elon Musk is going to allow America to be the AI leader of the world.
It's
Okay.
very interesting when, and I know you're going to dive deeper into this, but the capabilities of AI, there's a lot of power that comes from that.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like, and I think you alluded this to in one of our initial conversations, was there's sort of this AI arms race in a
Yep.
way between countries where, if you can be more efficient and gather more information and data and crunch the numbers faster, then you do have a competitive advantage over other nations. And so it's pretty fascinating. So you're saying that because so Elon Musk and he has his own AI, right? Grok.
Okay, you gotta understand Elon Musk is beyond just having his own AI. Okay. He
Okay.
was one of the few people in the world who identified the future of AI in DeepMind when it was still a UK research outfit. And he was the investor in DeepMind before Google was even interested in it and bought it up from behind his back. Okay, so if you are talking about one of the original people in the world who understood AI, understood on a very, very deep level, from both the business as well as the technical elements of AI, he's one of those. And if you look at it, AI permeates every single company that he owns. Okay, whether it's Tesla with self-driving, Neuralink with pattern recognition to be able to read brain waves, whether it's Grok with large language models on X, or whether it's SpaceX, the ability to catch a rocket in landing in midair, that is AI right there. There's no human that's able to navigate a spacecraft of that size and be able to catch it in midair. Okay, so he's taken AI from being able to do something humans can do, but faster, better, cheaper, to getting AI to do things now that is just not humanly possible.
So how do you think that he's going to be involved as sort of an advisor to Trump, and what's
So
the
if you look at it
relationship
from a
there?
macro perspective, for America to be the leader in AI, or for any country to be a leader in AI, you need two things basically. Okay, you need some really, really smart people to develop your AI technology and algorithm. And secondly, uh, you need to have as low energy costs as possible. Okay. So it's the combination of the two that fuels your ability to innovate, build, and to have leadership in the world. And if you look at the two executive orders that I mean, he signed, I think, what, like 100 to 200 executive orders last night, but two in particular that relates to AI is number one, rolling back all the restrictions and speed bumps on AI innovation. Number two, signing the executive orders that lowers our energy costs. Okay, if and you see, this is a president that gets it. He gets it. For us to have the golden age, okay, we need to drive down energy costs, because the further we can drive down energy costs, the faster we can innovate with AI.
Hmm. Why did you think that why did the Biden administration put those roadblocks or speed blocks on and restrictions on AI development?
I think out of fear and lack of understanding, because I think even when experts with knowledge try to explain it to them, they still had a hard time trying to understand it. So out of fear, you put up regulations, you know,
Sure.
because to prevent something really bad from happening.
What are they fearful of?
I think they're afraid that AI could be used to discriminate against certain groups of people. So I think that
Interesting.
that's one of the fear. The other fear is that, you know, I think that was the main fear. Looking at the way they crafted the regulations, the fear is really against, or maybe it is a political agenda as well. You know, that they wanted AI to not discriminate, but they wanted AI to to promote their diversity, equity, inclusion
I
programs.
see. Very
So, and
interesting.
that was very evident with, like, if you look at OpenAI, ChatGPT, there were huge amount of pre-processing and post-processing in the AI to impose a very DEI worldview on the answers.
So they actually programmed a worldview. So
Yes.
AI is not really an objective
AI is
program.
objective, but the humans make it biased. Let's put it that way.
The implications of that are pretty wild when you think of it,
Yeah.
because you can slowly just insert your own bias into this AI that everyone decides to use, and people just will think that a certain worldview is
Yeah.
normal, right?
So the technical term for that is nudging. And there have been some academic papers written on it where it is possible to use large language models to nudge people to change their political beliefs. So without them knowing about it. So through
Wow.
regular conversation with the AI can shift your beliefs, your political beliefs. And that was what they were trying to do. That was what the social engineering was all about.
Wow. Is it possible to create an AI with, so it is possible to have an objective AI, but that does depend on what sources it draws from, correct?
No, they're all drawing from the same corpus of information. Okay, so you got to think about this way. For the most part, most AI are really objective. Okay, they're unbiased, and that's why the people that run the organizations actually don't really like it. Okay, so what they do is that they tweak it. Okay, there are many ways to do it. One is through what they call fine tuning. They can tune it to basically say, I want you to put more emphasis or prioritize DEI information.
Mm.
Another way they do it is intentionally rewriting the answer that the AI gives before it lands on your screen.
It's interesting at the same time because it could be used. It's so good. There's so much good that can come out of AI,
Mm-hmm.
but there's so much evil that can happen
Yeah.
as well. I mean, I can't think of. I mean, I've used, yeah, ChatGPT probably at probably very low capabilities of what it's actually able to do, but it's significantly helped me in learning how to do things step by step, and how to understand,
Mm-hmm.
documents, complicated documents I'm supposed to read. It has given every single person, like, there's there was a pastor who made a quote. He was talking about the internet at the time, but he was saying the internet's like, being a king and having, 5,000 servants at your beck and call to get all this different information. And
Yeah.
now we have AI that can certainly help. It's just like 100 times more powerful. And
Exactly.
but it gives the people, it seems like, more power, more ability to I don't know how to say it right, but it gives them the ability to do things that they weren't capable of doing before,
Yeah.
whether it's understanding complex documents, like I mentioned before. But my question is, it's, are we going to understand, or are we going to pick up on if the AI is slowly changing us because it has that bias?
So here's what you got to ask yourself: what's better for the world? To have one powerful AI that we all fight over in terms of trying to make it unbiased, and every different interest group in the world trying to manipulate that AI? Or is it better for us to have 100 or 1,000 different AIs that we can all have options to choose from?
I like the second option.
Okay,
Well, I
then
mean, because
comes
it's
the
like if
question of
you're,
how do you actually use it in real life? Okay, so I tell you how I do to address some of the bias. Okay, first of all, I love ChatGPT because ChatGPT, in terms of its raw capability, it's it's way on top there. Compared to all the other LLMs out there. Now, do I use ChatGPT for absolutely everything? No, but I use it for a lot of stuff. I'll admit that. At the same time, I'm also fully aware that it's biased. I've seen the bias in the results, and it will show you things and it will claim it's fact, but actually it's biased. Okay. Now, what I do is that at the same time, I know Grok that was developed by Elon Musk.
Hmm.
It's a lot less biased than ChatGPT, but it's not always more capable than ChatGPT. Okay. So what I do is that I have a plugin in my browser that when ChatGPT gives me an answer, Grok immediately fact checks my ChatGPT and tells
That's
me
amazing.
if ChatGPT is being biased in its response.
Wow. Is there a risk of an AI monopoly? Do you think that that would be a challenge? That there
And
is
that
just
is
one
where the
AI that kind
government
of
steps in.
controls.
That's why the government needs to make sure there's no AI monopoly.
So how do you encourage competition?
Just like the way America has always done with every other industry out there. When it gets too big, the government has to break it up into smaller companies. So the way they did with AT&T,
Yeah.
when it got too big, it just broke it up because there was no reasonable competition at that point. So the
I guess
only
the way that I
security in your future is competition.
so that's almost like the challenge, right? Because there's a race for AI. There's the AI like arms race or whatever you call it.
The absolute AI arms race.
But it almost makes sense to focus all your energy on one and make that the most powerful one so you have that security. But at the same time, there's a danger in a
It's a
way that comes
huge
with that.
danger if you have only one. So we really want a world where you have OpenAI, you have Google having their own AI, you have you know Elon Musk with Grok being another one, Facebook having another one. In fact, the more different AIs you have, the better it is for the world.
That's fascinating. I want to pivot the conversation because I feel like we're talking at a very high level
Hmm.
overview, and I think that's great to get sort of the landscape understanding of AI is making an impact on the world. There's going to be some changes happening. You think it's the
Hmm.
golden age for AI or for businesses to grow. I
Hmm.
want to dive into um, how do we as entrepreneurs take advantage of this time, this potential opportunity to really grow and take advantage of AI? How do we do that? What are some of the strategies that you found? And I believe that most of our audiences, they're probably small, mid-sized businesses. So if you could, you have a
Okay.
company, the AI Matrix Solutions. How do you guys suggest that people, small, mid-sized businesses, incorporate AI and use that to their advantage in this time?
So there are four major industries that I've been focusing on. One is the construction, there are healthcare, logistics, and the other one is manufacturing that I have clients in that I've been helping them, and especially in the small to medium sized business, they need AI to to compete in the next 12 to 24 months. Okay, and this is what I mean. Uh, if you have a small business with 5 employees, all 5 employees should be maximizing the use of AI. Okay, so like one of the small businesses I was consulting with, they have like, I want to say like 5 to 10 employees. Okay, so and I was going there, I was training them and equipping them. Okay, by in like a 30-minute training, their employee was able to do something that used to take about 6 hours and do it in 15 minutes. So, and this was a task that was done every single week. That used to take
What
six
what
hours.
activity was that?
And that is crafting their marketing in the brand voice of the company. So they have the content that they need to push out to their clients, but marketing needs to take it and basically rewrite it in the brand voice of the company. Now, it's basically a copywriter, okay? And this used to be someone that, you go to school, you get trained, and you take the content and you rewrite it in the voice of the company. And that could take you about 6 hours to tune it, to fine tune, choose the right words, and put in the right stories. So I taught them how to train a custom AI to do it, to actually speak in the voice of the company, you know,
Wow.
and and it was a Christian company, so they wanted it to have Christian values, and they wanted to unwoke the AI, you know.
Wow.
And so I showed them how to, you know, to develop this custom AI. They built that custom AI. It took them about half an hour to build one, and after that, now that custom AI do all their brand voice rewriting for them.
When I look at, and it's something that we discussed previously, but when I look at, you mentioned that we're in a disruptive time for
Hmm.
businesses, and to me it seems like small businesses have a real serious advantage here
Hmm.
because they're able to pivot much more quickly. Do you foresee in the next few years some disruptions in the marketplace due to the how quickly people can adapt and companies can adapt to AI?
Hmm.
How
So
so?
okay, so let's talk about another client I was working with. Okay, in the retail, okay, retail furniture. Okay, small company, maybe 3 to 5 employees. Uh, so they engaged me to train their staff. Okay, did it over 3 sessions, 1 hour each session. In 3 hours, they got their entire company trained on AI, and they were functioning at 10x to 20x what they used to in the past. Okay, now put yourself in a large furniture retailer. Okay,
Mm.
with 20,000, 30,000 employees. How long is it going to take you to train all your employees in AI, put in place an AI policy infrastructure, and you know and if you're not able to do that, and if you're only able to train 1% of your staff, then you're going to see a small little incremental improvement. But a company like a small company that only has 5 employees, they got all of them trained in 3 hours, and then now all of them are
Yeah.
functioning at 10x of what they used to. So they are functioning like a 50 employee company, even though they're just five.
How do you identify as a small or mid-sized business? How do you identify the areas that AI would greatly improve your efficiency?
So for me, it's quite simple. Any company, doesn't matter if they're service, retail, manufacturing, have employees. Okay. There are three basic things that most employees do. Employees have to read stuff, whether reading documents, reading contracts, reading information. They have to read. Okay. Second thing employees have to do, they have to write. Whether they're writing an email, whether they're writing a marketing piece, or whether writing a proposal, it doesn't matter what that task is. A lot of the tasks, unless it's something to do with your hands, like plumbing or electrician, even then, there's still some writing involved, you know? So they need to read, they need to write. The other thing they need to do is they need to create, whether they're pictures, a social media posts, flyer or what have you. So by training your employees to read with AI, to write with AI, and to create with AI, you could easily 5x to 10x the productivity of your employee. So what would have taken them an hour to read, if they can read it in 5 minutes, you
Right.
just save them, you just 20x, their productivity in that area.
So how do you know? So we had a guest on the podcast and he was talking to me about he's actually in the process of creating specific AI tools or agents for their business. What's the difference between just teaching someone how to use ChatGPT efficiently versus taking that next step and creating a specific AI GPT tool agent for your specific business? What's that? How do you know when it's time to make that transition? What are the things you look for?
I think if it's something that is done repeatedly, then you make the transition. Like for example, if you have an accounting staff who's continuously having to look at invoices to categorize them, you know, that is something that you can create a custom AI tool for and just, you know. But if it's a situation where you're a very small employee staff and you know what? You have one accounting staff and she does absolutely everything under the sky. One
Mm.
time she could be categorizing invoices. The next thing she's trying to do a cash flow forecast. The next thing she's trying to do is run to the bank to get you some cash. She's doing everything. Okay. And sometimes she even write your business proposals for you, right?
Right.
In that situation, you really should be equipping her with AI and not trying to create a custom AI tool.
I see. I've seen these ads for companies that will say we'll create you custom agents, AI agents. I've even seen there's um, almost like these claims where they'll make calls for you. They'll essentially run your whole sales process. Are we at that point in the development of AI where that's something that's so? For example, I remember it was used to be for me like really easy to tell when somebody had written something in AI because there were
Mhm.
like the patterns of words. Are we getting to the point where those types of agents or AI tools are uh, sufficient enough that it would be difficult to tell if it was a real person or an AI doing it?
We're pretty close. We're pretty close that you cannot tell the difference. And we're pretty close to being in a place where the AI actually does a better job than a human.
What do you mean by better job?
Okay, so there was another study that was conducted, another academic study. Okay, that is one of the biggest, when you say do a better job than a human, one of the things that as human beings that we want another human to interact with is in a situation with regards to our healthcare. Okay, especially if they're going to tell you that you have cancer or something
Mm,
that's really bad news. You really want someone with empathy, that is as human as possible, right? So they ran this study. I believe it was a control study, and they had situations where patients came in, and some of them just saw the doctor, human doctors. Some of them saw human doctors, but the human doctors were instructed not to say anything, but to just say whatever the AI told them to say. Okay, so to all intents and purposes, you couldn't tell the difference. Okay, between which one was the AI and which one was the human, right? In terms of the content of what being spoken. Okay, and what the study demonstrated was that overwhelmingly, from the exit interviews and the polls, um, people preferred the doctors who just said what the AI told them to say. They felt that it was had more empathy.
interesting.
In other words, the AI, if you didn't know it was an AI, you would think that the AI was a better human than the human.
Wow. So that raises so many questions
Yep.
because was it in your book where you said that it may have been you where you said that it might become malpractice to not use AI in healthcare to validate some
Hmm.
of your or to back up the diagnosis that you give or to use it to
Hmm.
it almost I wonder if AI is going to transform education in the sense of we don't actually have to memorize. or even comprehend complex problems in very specific. Now, I don't want to come off wrong. So we still are going to have to do critical thinking. That is, I think there's some things that only humans can do. But when it comes to like understanding you could be a doctor who's a general doctor. You can have a patient come in, but now you can know everything you need to know about a specific rare disease because you have AI and you
Right.
have their symptoms. And so it makes me wonder how education is going to change if they're going to start requiring you to be proficient in AI, if there's going to be certifications that require you to have that proficiency in order to do certain tasks. And I wonder how that might replace some of the ways that we learn.
So let's talk
What are
about
your
something very
thoughts?
real that's happening in the industry right now. Okay. Uh, because when you have an employee who can leverage AI effectively, their productivity is just not like a 10-20% increase. Their productivity in terms of the speed and the quality of their work is so dramatically better than an employee who doesn't use AI, that I know of a number of small companies right now who will not hire anyone who do not have the ability to use AI effectively.
Because it's like having an expert assistant. It's not it's like the internet, you could find all the information you need to
Mhm.
know, but this is you can find all the information you need to know and and synthesize a new response in a way
Right.
or take large chunks of data that are so complicated to understand and now you can understand them in a matter of a couple minutes.
Yep.
And so it blows my mind that someone who's trained in AI can almost it seems like have besides the experience, have the knowledge and capabilities to almost diagnose diseases like a doctor could in a way
Yeah.
because they have access to the information. Now, I know just because I can use ChatGPT, I'm not saying I'm a doctor by any
Right.
stretch, but it seems to me like it's going to change, and not just in the medical field, but you think about communication and how powerful communication is, written, verbal, understanding. I saw this app, for example, and it allows you to summarize books and get the main ideas out of books. So instead of spending, hours reading through a book, you can get the main ideas very quickly. And I
Yeah. In
think
fact, that's
surely
one
there's
of the training
value.
that I do, for employees. In fact, we are taking it to the next level already. We are, that's the one of the early trainings that I did was basically, I tell all those that I'm training, if you are reading a book without getting AI to first summarize it and give you the main ideas, you just wasted your time. It
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to read books the old way anymore. Okay. So the question is that why are you even reading the book in the first place? Is because not to absorb information, you're reading the book because you're trying to get some value out of the ability to apply that information either to a problem or to your life. Okay. So the next step in using AI is not even to summarize the information, is to help you apply that knowledge to the problem you're facing or to your life. Okay. So let me give you a very specific example. Okay. I've created a custom AI to advise me on my health. Okay. Now, there are certain things I believe in. There are certain books that I read that I agree with, and there are certain books on health that I read that I don't quite agree with. Okay. So I've created this AI to basically pull information from the books that I believe in. Okay. And apply it into my situation. So I could ask it something simple like, hey, which is better for me to eat? Um, an ultra processed non dairy cheese, okay, or a non ultra processed dairy cheese. So you have two different cheese, okay? One is made from milk and one's not made from milk. And the one that's not made from milk is ultra processed. And the one that's milk from milk, it's naturally made from milk, it's not ultra processed, okay?
Hmm.
Both of it has pros and cons. If I were to ask a regular chat GPT that question, it's going to tell me, you're better off eating the non-ultra processed dairy cheese. But because my custom AI has been trained, okay, on certain pool of knowledge and to also understand the risk that's facing America and which ones are going to be the most detrimental to my life, it actually recommended the opposite. It recommended that I went for the ultra processed non dairy cheese.
Because it knows your health data.
Not my health data. It knows that in America right now, the rate of cancer has gone up so high that is one in out of two males that is going to get cancer in their lifetime. Okay. And the dairy cheese has more in it that's going to increase my probability as a cancer as a male in America. So
Interesting.
even though the ultra processed one is technically not exactly healthy either, but considering the worst of the two evil that could happen to you, it's trying to prevent me from getting cancer.
So you've basically allowed yourself to put in your own parameters
Beliefs.
and
You put in your
beliefs.
own beliefs.
That raises a. I want to transition because that raises a question towards how Christians should view AI and how we should utilize it. Um, we talked to the start about which is better, having one AI that we're all fighting to put our own bias into, or having thousands of different AIs where each group has the ability to have their own bias into it. Do you foresee, or has there been sort of an AI created that instills or nudges towards the way of Christian values and beliefs?
Absolutely. So let me give you an example. I was working with another non-profit Christian organization. So it was releasing, and they were helping the poor. So this app was going out to the inner city poor in the community. Okay. And it's a general app that helps you, like if you want to help you find financial aid, you want to help you, figure out the process of getting your kids registered for school, stuff like that. Okay. But when we build it for them, we also build it in with the capability that if you were to ask it any question that has some form of moral implication or some form of mental help that is needed, the AI would pull knowledge from the Bible,
Wow,
okay, and advise you from a biblical Christian perspective.
interesting. That's fascinating. AI is actually it can be a tool to guide people towards
Hmm.
specific beliefs. How do you see Christians using AI as a way to spread the gospel? Are there been any other efforts or ways that AI has potentially improved missions or improve the efficacy of sharing the gospel with more people? Has there been any developments in that field?
So I'm working on a project right now because with the changes that's happening in China, a lot of mission organizations are beginning to pull their missionaries out of China. One
Hmm.
organization in particular just pulled, the last time I talked to them, 700 missionaries out of China.
Oh wow,
Okay, so what we are doing right now, we're looking into developing an AI centric hotel brand that would then be able to go into China and allow missionaries to run hotels in China using AI. You know, so
yeah.
you got to think about it as our ability to extend the gospel and missions is going to come when we use AI in an innovative way to partner with AI to do things that we never thought was possible before.
Whenever something new comes out, there's always, there's the early, there's the bell curve, right? There's the early adopters, there's like the middle adopters, the late adopters. I think as Christians, our mindset should be, let's really evaluate these new things that are happening, because if we do adopt something like AI and really understand the implications, it seems like the value and the benefits for how we live our life and share our faith and grow our businesses, there's real opportunity here for that.
and
And
and the reverse is true. If you don't adopt and partner with AI, do you want to be that one company in your industry where your employees are functioning at 10% of what your competitors are doing? So in other words, your labor cost is 10 times that of your competitors.
I really wonder what and how these big Christian missionary organizations, I wonder how they view AI. Like I think I might try to reach out to someone and have them on the podcast and just see what their thoughts are, because the way that you described AI, the way that you described from the beginning of our call, that there's this golden age that you believe is coming for immense growth. It seems like these missions organizations should be taking this bull by the horns and really be the ones pioneering it. And it sounds like you're involved in some of these organizations, but I haven't personally heard, and perhaps it's because I haven't investigated it, but I have not heard of how churches or missions groups are really using AI and making waves with that. So that's fascinating. Elijah, I want to be sensitive to the time. I know I only bargained for about 45, 50 minutes here. I want to, I sort of want to close out the podcast with sort of, I always love to encourage our listeners, because a couple years ago, I feel like I'm making this podcast in a way for myself a couple years ago, where I was standing at the edge of, or the crossroads of, do I start a business or do I not? Do I make this life change and make the effort and take this risk, or do I not? Do I just play it safe? And I knew in my heart that I needed to take that step, but I probably prolonged that action longer than I should have. And I know entrepreneurship's not for everyone. It certainly isn't, and I'm sure there are people listening to this podcast who are curious about entrepreneurship, but maybe it's not for them.
Mhm.
But for those that know it in their heart that they should be entrepreneurs and are procrastinating taking that step, why is now such a good time to be an entrepreneur? Why is now the time to take that risk and make that dream, make that mission happen? And then finally encourage us with perhaps some practical ways that you would suggest implementing that AI into a business for Christ.
So, the best way for you to perceive the world right now is think about the world before electricity was invented. Okay, and and then living in that transition where electricity was invented, and you are kind of like living in two worlds. There's still some businesses, some factories that do not have electricity, but then you're beginning to see some of the innovators out there using electricity to run machines in their factories, right? That's kind of where we're at right now. So for entrepreneurs right now, if whatever business that you're trying to build or start in, if you're building it with AI, now's a great time. If you're planning to build a business and you have zero AI in it, you are kind of like in that place in history where you're starting a new factory without using electricity when everyone's beginning to adopt electricity. Okay. Now, is that a good idea? Probably not. Okay. So it doesn't matter what industry you're in, doesn't matter what the business is. Okay. If you're not starting it with AI from the ground up, it's not going to survive.
And so, what is the first step to quote unquote implement that electricity into your factory? What is the first tangible step that people can take? What resources should people be reading to really grasp and commit to making making themselves more competitive in this time?
The first thing as an entrepreneur you need to do is to actually use it yourself. So it's just a think back again about that situation. If you're still running candles at home and you've only heard of people using electricity, is it a really good idea for you to build a factory that runs totally on electricity? Probably not. You probably want to at least figure out how you're going to get electricity in your home first and begin to get an understanding. Oh, this is what a switch does. Oh, this is what a light bulb does. And then that get into the understanding of, okay, how do I use it to run a to run a machine? How do I use it to spin a wheel?
Are there any resources? And I know I'll show your book here. I'm gonna put that below. But are there any resources that you would suggest people who are new to this that they dive into to learn it themselves so that they can implement it in their business later on?
I mean, yeah, definitely for sure. Get my book. I think my book it's really a first step for a lot of Christians. To be able to get into AI from a Christian perspective. In a way that it's going to unlock their potential and to equip them for it. You know, and then after that, the thing is that AI is moving so fast right now that your best bet is really to keep up to date with what's being posted on X, the former Twitter, to what's posted on YouTube, stuff like that.
I
Yeah,
think I'm gonna ask ChatGPT what the latest updates are with ChatGPT.
exactly. There you go.
Give me a summary of all the new things coming out with AI. That's what I think I
Yeah,
would do. Um,
absolutely.
but look, Elijah, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast. I'm looking forward to you're doing some very cool stuff with your business AI Matrix Solutions,
Hmm.
um, and there's the project that hopefully that will come to life, and then that's something I hope to share on the podcast here in the near future. But look, it's been a pleasure, Elijah. This is Kingdom Commerce, where we do commerce the Kingdom way. I'm your host, Cooper Peterson. Go build and go build with God's glory in mind. See ya.
See ya.